Okay, so this is a question on bank reconciliation, just from this same year's session of paper. So the way this bank reconciliation question came, we had an already prepared cash book, and also a bank statement was there in the question. So usually when you have a cash book already drawn up there and the bank statement as well showing, we match the like items, and then we take note of those items that are not matching, and those are the ones that we try to reconcile and also put into the updated cash book. So before we go into any further details on how to handle this question, the items that go into the updated cash book are items that remain unmatched from the bank statement. Then the items that go into the bank recon, these are items that remain unmatched from the cash book. So now, given this question now, let us begin by first matching the items that are matching. Those that are not matching, we will take note of them. So if you look at this question, there is already this is the cash book. Yeah, this is the cash book. So what happens is we'll be matching our cash book against the bank statement. Yeah, so we begin first of all. You can choose any side to start with. You can start with matching the debit side, then you thereafter match the credit side of the cash book. So the thing is, when matching, the debit side of the cash book will be matched with the credit of the bank. Take note of that. It's always opposite. The debit of the cash book will be matched with the credit of the bank. And then the credit side of the cash book will be matched with the debit side of the bank. It's just like that. So the bank always has an opposite picture, in short. That's why if you notice, the matching looks like it's opposite. Yeah. So what's going to happen is, maybe let's begin by matching the credit side of the cash book with the debit of the bank. So to begin with, you start with the first entry, which is in the cash book, and then you go and look at the same amount. If you're going to see the same figure in the balance sheet, then you can match. That's how we match usually. So if you look at the wages, the one wages 3146, you go to the bank statement, and then you see, you're going to see a figure with 3146. So we'll just do maybe 1, 2, or 3 so that you can get the gist of it. Then I'll just now show you how we are going to do the overall preparation of these books. So let's look for 3146 in the bank statement. So this right here is our bank statement. I hope it will be clear. Yeah, if you look, there's a 3146 there in that column where there are payments. Yeah, so that column which you're seeing as payments, in other words, it's the debit column of the bank. Yeah, for the bank, them payments, it's debit. For the cash book, payments are credit. As I said, that opposite picture. Yeah. So as we said, we are matching the credit side of the cash book with the debit of the bank, and in this case, the debit of the bank is in this payment column. Yeah, and that's why if you're able to see the 3146. So meaning we can tick showing that wages has matched with this other 3146. That's how we match. If the figures are just tallying, you're safe. Let's try another one and try to match as well. Let's maybe this time around try to match from the debit of the cash book to the credit of the bank. Let me go back to the cash book. So in the cash book now, we're back. Specifically, let's start with the first entry there, Q manufacturing. So we want to check for Q manufacturing's balance, which is 3443. So let's go to the bank statement and see if we're also going to find a 3443 in the bank statement. So we are now in the bank statement here. If you look through this time around, remember we're now matching the debit side of the cash book now, this time with the credit of the bank statement. The credit of the bank statement is the one in this case written as receipts. Yeah. So when we look through there, we cannot see any figure with 3443, right? So that's showing us that it's not matching. So it remains what? Unticked. Yeah, so those are the ones we start taking note of, the ones which are remaining unmatched and the like, so that when we prepare now those books, the updated cash book and the bank recon, we know that we're only coming to pick those which remained unmatched. And so usually that's the gimmick when we are trying to tick for the unmatched items and the ones which are also matching. So just always remember, the debit of the cash book matches with the credit of the bank statement. The credit of the cash book matches with the debit of the bank statement. And that's how you check. So once you're now done, we now begin to prepare now the updated cash book. The updated cash book is now going to have items that went missing, that were not unmatched, items that were not matched and are in the bank statement. So all those ones which were unmatched and they're in the bank statement, they are coming in the updated cash book. So now we need to prepare that updated cash book. So what I did was I wrote this down on a piece of paper, and I prepared the updated cash book. So as earlier mentioned, the updated cash book will have items that remained unmatched in the bank statement. And so these are the ones you're seeing that remained unmatched and they were in that bank statement. So what I did was those same ones. So when you're now putting them in the updated cash book, right, you might find that in the bank statement there are those which are unmatched on the credit side, which in this case is the one they're calling receipts. So what you're going to do is those which are on the, as we said, credit of the bank statement which are unmatched, how will you now record them in the updated cash book? You'll bring them the debit. Remember, it's always the opposite picture. That's how you just remember. Whenever you're taking something from bank to cash, it's always opposite. If it was in the credit in the bank, debit in the cash book. And that's what I did. So all those ones like the sundry credits, there were a lot of sundry credit, by the way, on the credit side of the bank statement. So I've brought all of them to the debit side. And those ones are dividends on interest, they're also on the credit side of the bank statement. I've brought them on the debit. And that's the gimmick that we use in Bank Recon. Then the next side is the credit side of this cash book. Which items did I pick from the bank statement? These were the items that came from where? The debit side of the bank statement, which they are calling payments. That side is where we are taking now to the credits. As we said, opposite picture, debit from the bank. Here in the cash books are coming credits, and these are the items which I found on the debit which were unmatched. Remember, the key part is unmatched, so just don't take everything. Those that remained unmatched and were in the bank statement come to the updated cash book, and that's how you put those items. And once you're done, you now just like balance off the way we do any normal account. The balance carried down, which you can see there as my 22,047, and then it comes there. Thereafter, I also went ahead and prepared my recon, the one you're seeing here, bank reconciliation statement. So the bank reconciliation statement, that's the format. Bank reconciliation statement as at 31st October 2019, according to this question. So this bank recon now, if you're able to see it as well, it's got two ways you can start the bank recon. You can start with balance as per bank statement like what I've done, or balance as per updated cash book. The only thing that will change if you start with balance as per updated cash book is that wherever we are adding, you will be subtracting in that case. And wherever we are subtracting, you will be adding. It's just the opposite. That's all. So it just depends on which heading you start with. So if you start with balance as per bank statement, you follow what I've done. If you start with balance as per updated cash book, you will be doing the opposite. While I was adding, you'll be subtracting. And that's all. That's the only trick. So you'll find that now which things qualify as unpresented checks. So those things that qualify as unpresented checks, if you go to your cash book after the matching process is done, you should pick items that remained unmatched in the cash book and were on the credit side. Those are the ones which represent unpresented checks. I'll repeat. When we are recording unpresented checks, which items do we pick? Those that remained unmatched in the cash book. Those which remained unmatched in the cash book and were on the credit side, those are the ones which fill in that row as unpresented checks. Then I found there were 4 and I put them in. We sum them up they made a total of 1648. Remember, we less and presented checks if we start with balance as per bank statement, and then it gave me a certain figure. I went to the lodgements and credited lodgements. These were a number, actually. If you can see, there were a lot. So these ones, what did I pick them from? As well, they came from the cash book, but on the debit side of the cash book. Those that remained unmatched on the debit side of the cash book are the ones I picked as uncredited lodgements. So if you notice, it's pretty easy. You just match with the same figures. If you find the same figure in the bank statement, you tick. But as you're ticking what's in the debit of the cash book with what's on the credit in the bank. Just remember like an opposite picture when you're matching. Not debit, credit. You might confuse things that way. And thereafter, you sum up all your uncredited lodgements. They give you a certain total, which you add up to that total which came from the unpresented, and you land with balance as per updated cash book. So you remember at cash book we just closed with it had here as it's showing us at 22,047. What did that cash book close with? This one, this figure here, 22,047, showing us that we have what? Balanced. And that's how you know that you balanced the recon, just like that. So that's the explanation on this recon. I hope it will be helpful. If there are any questions, please you can come through.